Things just keep getting worse for Ubisoft when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows. You would think there'd be nothing else to talk about leading up to release because there's already been so much news, but things just keep getting worse and worse because now they are getting raked across the coals for rewriting previous Assassin's Creed lore and introducing a canon mode that removes player choice completely from the game. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube membership. So Jonathan Dumont, the creative director for Shadows, revealed that the upcoming game features a canon mode that removes player choice when it comes to dialogue options, romance, and ally recruitment, and furthermore, he revealed that they rewrote part of the franchise's lore for the game. Why are we continuing to hire people who do not care about this franchise and franchises in totality? You need to be hiring fans who treat the lore like gospel. They care about protecting the lore, protecting the franchise, protecting these characters, but instead they're just casually talking about how we felt it was good to rewrite the lore. That's not a award-winning decision here. It's nothing that you are going to be praised for. So in an AMA on Reddit, of course, where they can ban people for shit-talking them because they don't actually want to foster an inclusive environment, because when it comes to diversity of thought and opinion, they suddenly want people to be silenced. But alongside the associate narrative director, Brooke Davies, the game director, Charles, and the art director, Dumont, was asked, "Hey devs, I'm super excited for the game and can't wait for release. My first question is, how long will the main game be in comparison to Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla?" And one of the devs, who was not identified, answered, "The length of the game is always hard to evaluate in an open world title, as different players will have very different ways to consume content. I think Shadow's main journey is comparable to Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla. As for choices, they are present and have somewhat of an impact, but play less of a branching role than on Odyssey on the core narrative." And then he revealed that the game had a canon mode. He explained, "Choices come more into play when recruiting allies and romance some of the characters. Since the fan base is divided on branching dialogues, we have incorporated an option called canon mode, which allows you to play the game with choices already made for you to give you a choice of a free experience. Hope this makes it fun for everyone." So first of all, I'm all for options for players. As long as this is just a toggle, that's fine. But if you're going to provide people options, you should have them just make the options. If you want to make a linear story where our choices don't matter and like we can't make choices, then make the game that way. It just sounds like they are handing people another way to play in a journo mode, because of course we have very easy difficulties now, or story mode difficulties. Then of course you have the normal, easy, the medium, the hard, or the veteran. But it just seems that they were so like concerned with making sure that people had a way to basically not play the game. If you are going to give us an open world nonlinear experience, then just do that. It seems that you guys are half-assing this because you know that there are going to be a lot of normies playing your game. Not every game needs to be for everyone all the time. Ultimately, again, I think that it's fine to offer this choice if that's really what they wanted to do, but it seems like it was such a journo like experience, or a journo mode option. Elsewhere during the AMA, they were revealing that certain sections of the game can only be completed by either Noe or Yasuke. If you want to play the entire game as just Noe, you should be able to. If you want to play the game in totality as just Yasuke, you should be able to. What is this logic of allowing players tons of options in one case, but not a ton of options in another? They have their own unique personal stories at key moments of the game. These can only be played by one of the characters. This allows us to have a deeper dive into their personal motivations, some cool surprises in there. This to me kind of sounds like it may just be, oh, they have their own missions that they can go off on if you want them to. But at the same time, it kind of also sounds like it could be required. So we don't know for certain. And of course, we won't until the game fully launches. But it really could go one way or another. If I have to play as one character, if I don't want to, I don't like that when you just touted about player choice. He also addressed the choices that players will have and how it impacts the game, saying in Shadows, choices take on many forms, impacting who we play as and the quests and other gameplay outcomes. In terms of the story of our league, we get to explore core themes like community and chosen family through choices, since Noe and Yasuke can choose who they recruit as allies. However, no matter what choices you make throughout the game, it will not affect the game's ending. The story of Shadows culminates in a single canon ending. That said, there are many unique paths leading to this point. I also think that this is dumb. If you're going to tout player choice, there should be multiple endings. Now, I am perfectly fine with games having a linear story. You don't get to make any choices. You end the game at a certain point and there's one ending, right? That's perfectly fine. If the developers feel strongly enough to tell a story that has to end a certain way, or you go through the journey in a certain way, that's cool. But if you're going to again tout player choice, there should be a choice of ending. What does it matter what I do throughout 98% of the game if the last 2% happens no matter what my choices are? If I kill all my allies, I should not get the happy ending that you want this game to end as. I should get the bad ending if that's the writing direction you've decided the bad ending is heading in. And the game is also rewriting previous lore. It was detailed that Shadows will lay the groundwork for a new chapter of modern narrative that will be different than what we have done in the past, but that is connected to our modern day lore and will develop over time. Modern. We don't want modern Assassin's Creed. We want the old Assassin's Creed. That is why Assassin's Creed got so popular in the first place. Why do you believe people want modern day experiences out of this franchise? Sure, if we're talking about like graphics or gameplay, that's okay, because graphics have changed a lot since this franchise started. Gameplay is much more polished, there are more in-depth systems. That's fine. But when we're talking about writing, we don't want modern experiences. We don't want you to be making games for modern audiences, aka sensitive snowflakes on social media. These people do not show up to buy games. When are these developers going to finally realize that this isn't going to happen? He also admits that they've had to retool some of the Assassin's Creed Memories lore, which is just such a red flag that they're straight up admitting that they're changing around the lore. Oh, and that's perfectly fine. We're just retooling a little bit of it. We're making a modern story. It's absurd. Nobody wants modern Assassin's Creed. When we're talking about storylines, we just want good Assassin's Creed, well written Assassin's Creed. So right now we're getting even more worrying news when it comes to Shadows, and maybe it'll come out and it'll be fantastic. But judging by the costumes we've seen so far, judging by the gameplay we've gotten so far with the hip hop music behind Yasuke's combat, that's cringeworthy. We, of course, know of all of the many controversies surrounding an inaccurate depiction of Yasuke because he was more of a retainer than a full-blown samurai. We have a lot of questions about Noe. We haven't heard much about her because I think that they're trying to withhold as much information as possible because they know it's probably going to be controversial and historically inaccurate. We know about the reenactment banners, which, yes, they did remove from the game, but they didn't remove from the art book, just proving that they are not committed to historical accuracy. The inaccurate architecture, I mean, we're talking about a plethora of problems with this title, and it just seems that things are getting even worse as we get closer to release, because now we know that they're rewriting previous lore, and they're also introducing this canon mode that removes player choice from the game. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.